Welcome back, everyone. It is I, Paul Clement, your host of the Last Call Fantasy Football Podcast, and I'm very happy to be introducing my very close, very dear friend and league mate, Eric Inward, who's going to be helping me out co-host today. Eric, how are we doing today?
Good, Paul. Thanks for having me on. Excited to chat again. First time as the Last Call podcast because the last time it was the Dynastic Buddies. So
Yes.
excited for my debut on the Last Call podcast here.
Excited to have you for this one and many more to come. It's a Friday, the 6th of March here, so we're heading right into what is about to probably be another whirlwind of a free agency period and tampering period going into next week. We're going to be touching on all of that. I want to get your opinions on some of these things, Eric, and we're going to round out today's show with just a quick first round mock draft of I guess it would be like a dynasty startup. So we want to kind of bounce. We just want to have a conversation around who we think is going to be those top 12 players taken in the first round, the ever crucial first round. And with all that said, it's last call, everyone. Cheers. Boom. Have you watched any of the podcasts yet?
No, I,
No,
I,
okay.
didn't- I didn't even know there were where are they on YouTube like Dynastic Buddies was?
Yeah. So I used the same thing. I just changed everything to last call.
Okay.
Anyhow, so
Well,
awesome.
shit, I kind of forgot it was Last Call. I probably should have had a beer, but you know what? Next time
Ah,
we'll do it not in the middle of the day. We'll
yeah,
do it at night, and I will have a beer. Yeah.
that does seem more appropriate.
Yeah.
Um,
Not even noon yet.
you just got back from vacation, right?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. How are things?
Things are good, man. Went to Cancun. It was awesome. First time there. Um, Super hot, super nice. We went to the resort that you had, you and your family go to. Yeah, we loved it, man. 5 nights was the perfect amount of nights. A
Nice.
week would have been too long.
Yeah.
With 3 young kids, it's a lot for them to be out in the sun all day and
Yeah.
like all the excitement and yeah,
I'm
it
sure.
was great. It was a lot of work, already forgetting about all the work and just remembering all the good times already. And yeah, it was awesome. We would definitely go back. Probably not go back next year and wait for the following year so the kids get just a little bit older.
Yep.
But it was a blast. How are
Did
you doing, man?
did you, yeah, no, I'm good. Just excited to get into all this conversation we have around football. But yeah, Melissa's been away the last couple days, so been a lot of daddy-daughter time on my front, and been a great time. I think I've told this to you. Like, Catherine is just way more um, responsive to like when it's just me. When Melissa's here, she just plays us against each other. So it has been nice that she at least listens a little bit better over the
Hmm.
last couple of days. But we're excited to have Melissa back as well. She's getting back tonight. So
You wait for
okay,
work? Yeah?
yeah, she's been in Vancouver for work. Yeah. So
Nice.
lots to get into, and we're gonna try and keep it pretty hard hitting and quick today. Obviously the latest and the biggest piece of news, and of course want to get your perspective on this as a Bills fan. DJ Moore getting traded to the Buffalo Bills for a second round pick. I think the Bills get a fifth round pick back as well. So what is your gut reaction, and have you had some time to kind of digest the news?
Um, I saw it when it was announced. Initial reaction was like I didn't like the deal like at all. Um, I feel like he's like kind of the same as like Khalil Shakir, and he's old. He's like 20, he's going to be 29 this year,
Yeah,
and the second round pick. Wow, the Bills would have been in the back third of the draft. So what, 50 to 60?
it's the
Still like a
60th
reason.
60th overall.
Is that what it was?
Yeah,
Okay, so still a reasonably high pick. Um, and the contract stuff doesn't really bother me because like teams always find a way to fit contracts together and stuff. But it means that now there's like, Shakir, who's a middle of the field kind of guy. I feel like DJ Moore is also a middle of the field kind of guy. They've got Josh Palmer, who's not great. Keon Coleman, who's also not great. Maybe he can take us a leap this year. Maybe he can't. I don't know. I hope he can. Curtis Samuel, who's also a middle of the field guy. The tight ends like Kincaid and Knox, who are middle of the field guys, right? Like they didn't really get. I feel like they didn't really get like that like speed kind of opening the top threat, the big X threat that people have been saying Josh Allen needs.
I'll just jump in real quick. I think DJ Moore, I think he's either creating in the screen game or he's kind of that downfield. So there were some plays last season where he was creating downfield. I think that's what they are hoping to get out of him and hoping they can maximize him with, because you have the Josh Allen who's been looking for someone to get downfield. I agree. They're still missing that X receiver,
but then the age thing comes into play too. So if that's the case, like and I read the stuff that Joe Brady was his coordinator in Carolina during his best years. Great, right? But he didn't have a great year last year. Now he's 29 this year, right? And like with the contract, he's on the team for like confirmed, like guaranteed 3 more years, right? So 29, 30, 31. And like a guy who, plays a highly like athletic position, right, in a athletic way, right? There's people who play wide receiver as like a crafty type guy or like a bigger guy, like a Mike Evans.
Yeah.
Where, diminishing athleticism might not hurt them that much, but a guy like DJ Moore, it probably would hurt him more, right? And so, while that may be true, right, like you're kind of pushing all your eggs into basket into this 1 year while being hamstrung by that roster spot but for someone else years 2 and 3 maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, like I hope it works.
The way I digested it was, does it make the Buffalo Bills better this year? I think it does. But then the counterpoint to that is, you traded a second round pick for him. Oh, he must be young. He's not young. Oh, he must have been really cheap then. He's not really that cheap for all the reasons you've already outlined. At least you have flexibility to get out from under it in a year or two. No, you're stuck with this guy. I think they've already guaranteed $18 million in year 3 to this guy. So you're connecting yourself to this player who is boom or bust, I think is the polite way to put it for this player at his point in his career.
Yeah. The thought of a 31-year-old DJ Moore, like, dragging down a Josh Allen offense. And at that point, right, like that's when good players like ask to leave. If, they've been banging on the door for so long and the team can't quite get it together, right?
Yeah.
Trading for an aging receiver with like a diminishing athleticism skill set and tying yourself to him in their early 30s. Like that's the kind of moves that make like, Josh Allen tell Brandon Beane to, go, F himself. Like I'm out of here.
Yeah. I think, I mean, I listen to Josh and Hayden all the time, the guys from Underdog, and they put it best. Like, it seems like the internet bullied Brandon Beane into getting a receiver, and he totally panicked and kind of jumped on a player that I think that the Bears were really excited to get rid of.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm just thinking now, right? Like the Bills took their stab at a round 1 receiver in Keon Coleman.
Round 2
last year or 2 years, but he was like the first pick in round 2 or something, right?
Yep.
So, 33rd, he was the first pick in round 2. So, round 1 receiver, we'll call him a round 1 receiver.
Yep.
They took their chance at that. It like hasn't worked out, even though he's still quite young. He's only 22 still.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Did he deserve to get taken that high? Right? I don't know. I'm not an NFL like talent evaluator, but it would seem to be that he didn't. Right. And so did they want to go back to the well and take another late first round receiver with the other holes in their team, specifically at like edge rusher and whatnot?
Yeah. Tough draft this year too.
The trade makes me feel like they didn't want to do that. Right. Perhaps they've been identifying some receivers who have been like, shooting up the draft board. We're not going to get those guys. We're not going to trade up for them. Let's take a rusher. We'll trade for a receiver. The free agent receivers coming up, like, maybe Alec Pierce would have been too much for them. although DJ Moore's contract's pretty big, maybe they didn't believe in him. There's some other guys out there like Rashid Shaheed could have been like a really nice fit for the Bills.
Hmm.
Um, yeah. Anyways, remains to be seen. I do agree with you that
Yeah,
it makes the Bills better this year, which is important.
the point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so next piece, this has been known for a couple days, but we're finally getting a chance to talk about it. Is Kenneth Walker, the Seahawks electing not to franchise or transition tag him? They allow him to hit free agency, which means they could still sign him, but this opens a door to the whole league to basically, put a bid in on the Super Bowl MVP running back Kenneth Walker. Um, Not a lot else to report on that right now, but is there a place you feel like he might land or that you would like him to land?
I think he's going to land on my fantasy team next year. Ken Walker's awesome. Yeah, I had him
Yeah.
during his rookie season. I had him and Rashad Penny. That was my Kenny versus Penny season. Um, and yeah, he's great. I think you drafted him this last year in that one league where I was strongly considering him at the Trevion spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's really good. I don't know I haven't really read much about who's interested in him.
I've
I
heard.
have read recently though that the Broncos have been looking at running backs, which is strange because I thought RJ Harvey was good this past year. I guess once again I'm not a talent evaluator, so
Yeah.
maybe I'm wrong.
I mean,
Um,
as an RJ Harvey owner, I can say he definitely wasn't ready for a bell cow role, and Sean Payton's never run a bell cow out there, right? He's always had the two backs, so they were in on David Montgomery and they missed out on that. So yeah, Ken Walker to Denver would be interesting. I've heard the Giants, the Titans, all these guys need a running back.
well, the Giants have Scatterbo. I guess he's injured though, right?
He'd be coming back.
Um,
He's hoping to be ready for training camp.
and the Titan, who do the Titans have?
I think Tony Pollard's
Pollard.
contract is up, so they're looking to probably move on from him.
Though it could be nice and if Cam Ward takes a little step forward, him and
Hmm.
Ken Walker.
Certainly,
Um,
certainly.
I have no idea what the running back pay market is, right? It's like 10 or 12 million is probably a lot for a running back, right? So that's probably what he's shooting for. Um, I don't know, maybe even higher, maybe 15. I don't know,
Yep.
but Walker's great. Wherever he goes, he's going to be an awesome
I
fantasy
hope so.
selection.
And I think he's kind of excited about it too, because he's for the last two seasons been sharing a backfield with Zach Charbonnet for better or worse. People will say, yeah, it worked. It kept him fresh for the playoffs. Both guys, I think they finished in fantasy point wise, I think they finished within a point of each other, literally.
Mhm.
So literally 50-50 in that backfield. So he's probably looking to get more of a bell cow role and hit some more of those.
It also means that Seahawks will be getting probably a running back in the draft then because Charbonnet tore his ACL in the playoffs, right?
Yeah, they're going to have to figure that out as well, no doubt. Alec Pierce hitting free agency because the Colts decided to transition tag Daniel Jones. So this has kind of been an interesting thing because you can only use the tag on one player, whether it's transition or franchise, for every team. And Alec Pierce, I think, becomes a very coveted wide receiver in a time in the league where really good players don't usually hit free agency. He's probably going to be the bell of the ball at the wide receiver position as a young vertical number two potential receiver, right? So he'll be looking for that wide
Even
receiver two
rarer than
number.
the white cornerback is the white Z receiver, and that is Alec Pierce. Yeah.
Correct. Correct.
Um, yeah, dude, he was really good last year. He had how many 40, 50 yard TD catches.
I traded
Um,
for him.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I have no idea who's going to sign him. I've been busy with work and vacation and free agency's next week. I think is when it starts, right?
Yeah, next Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken.
So we'll see all this. We're starting to see all this stuff
Or
trickle
maybe
in.
Monday. Yeah, Monday.
If we look at, obviously he had a good year in Indy, right? So what made him successful in Indy? Well, they had a good running game and they had a competent receiver opposite him in Pittman,
Yep.
right? So, Atlanta just released Darnell Mooney, who's also a speed guy,
Could
right?
be a
So maybe
thing.
could go there. They've got Drake London and Bijan as those running back and other good receiver. Right,
Raider
San Fran's going to need a receiver. They're going to get rid of Ayuk's gone, obviously.
Jennings is a free agent.
Jennings is a free agent. That would be pretty sexy.
Yep.
That would be in
Apparently, Raiders have been in on him. Patriots have been rumored, but I don't think they're going to make a move on him. I mean, every team is going to want a player like this, which is why I guess he's probably excited because like, go get your money now when your value is never going to be higher than it is right now.
And he's young too. It's rare for young guys to hit the free agent market, I
Right,
feel.
right. Yeah, so I think he's 25 if I'm not mistaken.
25. He's
Yeah,
25. Yeah.
yeah. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Like until these guys find places, it's not like we have a lot of analysis to provide. Uh, but I do like just quickly touching on these stories because I think it's curious team building from the Colts' perspective. They haven't been able to get a deal done with Daniel Jones, and now it's bled into them potentially losing a really good piece on their team.
I thought they signed into the transition tag.
Transition tag, but they're trying to get that extension done, right? We'll see. So Kyler Murray will be released. I think everyone kind of read that writing on the wall. Unless a trade can be completed, and at this point, I don't think anyone's going to trade for him because you could just offer him the league minimum as a veteran quarterback, and the Cardinals are on the hook for the rest of his. I think it's $90 million between this year and next year. So
Wow, must be nice.
must be nice.
Um, Kyler sucks. I'm such an anti Kyler guy. And I had read that like the Vikings are his like favorite destination, which doesn't make me feel good as a big Justin Jefferson fan.
I hear you.
Like Kyler sucks. Like he could not support Marvin Harrison. Is that a Marvin issue or is that a Kyler issue?
Or
I don't know.
Hey, Trey McBride finally broke out when Kyler was
Yeah.
benched, man. Like, I think he's a league average quarterback, which a lot of teams don't have. So there will be a market for the guy. Vikings seem to be the most likely and the best landing spot. But to your point, is he gonna is Kevin O'Connell gonna just uproot his entire offense and design a new one to base it around Kyler Murray's skill set? I would hate to see that because I don't know what that does to a Justin Jefferson, right?
Yeah.
All those weapons, really, because the guy can't see the middle of the field, which is where Justin
Yeah.
Jefferson feasts, right?
So yeah, I mean, is Kyler going to be better than JJ McCarthy? Right, probably. Right.
Yeah,
Jefferson was like borderline unusable this year, which sucks for such a great player.
yeah.
Um,
You do
so
hate.
in terms of their options, right? Like who's a better option for the team this year, if not him, right? They could get him for like $1 million, like you said, the league minimum $1 million or whatever.
Yep.
If it doesn't pan out, you have a decent draft pick next year.
Yep.
Or if it does pan out, you can sign him, right? But
exactly.
Man, it'd be nice for them to have a guy like Sam Darnold on that team.
Yeah, I mean, the fallout from that decision has been well documented at this point, and the general manager getting fired and all that,
Yeah.
probably rightfully so for some poor decision making.
Mhm.
Brees Hall got franchise tagged, much to his chagrin, and I think most fantasy managers would agree like this is really unfortunate. But he seems optimistic. He wants to, go out there and bet on himself and have a really strong season in what will be another contract year for him. I don't know what the situation is going to be like in New York as a Jet because I mean the offensive line is pretty good across the offensive line. I would say it's well above average. And then you just need competent quarterback play, whether that's a unretired Derek Carr or whoever else they decide to bring in. Geno Smith maybe returns to New York. I wouldn't count on it, but something like that I think would. I don't think he can have as poor a season as he did last year. I think he rebounds in some way this season, hopefully.
I mean, one of the funniest things that the Jets did this past year was like they fired all of their coaches except for the head coach. And
Yeah.
so it's like Aaron Glenn is saying, like, I'm not the issue. Everyone else, everyone who I hired is the issue, not me. Right. And like,
very weird.
What a joke of a franchise the Jets are. Brees Hall's good. And like, I'm just looking at his stats. He had more yards this past year at a higher clip than he did the year prior.
Okay.
A little less reception. So like, I guess he had a bad year, maybe by expectations of him. Yeah, but he didn't necessarily have a bad year.
No,
and he'll be 25 this season. So assuming it's his last season, right? With the Jets, right? He'll have 26 and beyond, hopefully at a new organization, unless they do well there.
Yeah,
it's tough to. I don't know. I mean,
I mean, the Jets are going to be bad this year. Like that
The
is
Jets
their
are they're a bad team,
that
right?
is that is their plan, is to be bad so that they can use all this draft capital they've acquired in next year's draft, right? The next year's
Right.
draft, which will have all the big name quarterbacks, and who knows, maybe for the first time in 60 years they'll find their guy. We'll see. Anything else on Brees Hall?
I mean, like he's a good player. Sucks for him that he clearly wants out of the Jets. It sucks for him that he's not getting that. Um, it's the same kind of situation as like Garrett Wilson, right? Like a like good player at one of the premium positions in the
Wasting
NFL,
their
stuck on a bad team with like a revolving door quarterbacks, with like maybe not the best like play callers, and just like putting up like empty stats that like have no meaning in terms of like the team's like success like
like
year after year. So hopefully both those guys get like new destinations in the seasons to come.
what would what was the stat? It's like Garrett Wilson stopped playing football because of injury at like week whatever it was, like 9 or 10, and he still finished as like the team's leading receiver with like 460 yards. It's
That's
uh,
unbelievable.
it's they're playing a different sport there. Stephon
Yeah.
Diggs is released by the Patriots. I kind of figured this is what they would do, and they can just kind of unentangle themselves from all the nonsense he's been doing off field. And he had a very productive season last year. Was a top 20 receiver. And thank you for your services. And here's a little extra money because we owe it to you. But see you later.
Yeah, that's exactly it. He's old. He's got this court thing against him. Um, he had a decent year, right? Is that because he was just like volume targeted, or he was actually like? I thought Kayshon Boutte was really good. I spent a lot of money on him in like week one, and I don't think he quite reached those highs again. But he was like usable in like certain weeks, right? And we saw in the playoffs him catch like a couple nice touchdowns too. Um, so do they go to draft someone? Do they go to trade for someone like an AJ Brown? Do they let Pop Douglas and Kayshon Boutte take more of the reins
Yeah.
there? Yeah, I mean, I did. It's tough. Like, what's going to happen to Diggs? Like, is he going to even get signed because he has this legal thing? Is he going to sign for like the minimum somewhere?
All fair questions.
I don't know.
Yeah. Uh, I wouldn't be surprised for him to find a job. To answer, I don't know what the Patriots are going to do to your point. They need receivers. I think Booty, Pop Douglas, even Mac Hollins, who I think they have to re-sign if they want to bring him back. Those are all good role players, but we need a difference maker for Drake May to be throwing to as he enters a season where he just was an MVP finalist. So I think they will address. It's gonna be tough for them to address it in the draft because there's only a handful of difference maker receivers, I think, in that top group, which I've discussed with you, and on the pod. It's gonna be tough for them. I hope they make a move for an AJ Brown or something like that. I don't know what the math would look like and how they make it happen, but I would love to see an AJ Brown. I
I'm
think
still such a big AJ Brown fan. Like
me
he's
too.
he's still got it, and like Vrabel was his coach in Tennessee, right? So there's that connection there. They've
A
now
bad
opened up
apparently it was a
an
bad one.
expensive receiver spot, right? He's an expensive receiver. They probably have to. I mean, they're gonna have to pay him whatever money. I don't know if he wants an extension or whatnot, but like the Eagles are gonna. I read they were gonna want a first round pick back. Is that too rich for uh the Patriots' blood? I don't know.
I make that deal. I make that
I
deal
mean,
in fantasy and in real life.
yeah, yeah.
For those who don't know, I traded my first round pick in our keeper league for AJ Brown this past season, and I was happy with it. And I'm sure you're going to be happy with a second first going into this draft.
I am, but like if he goes to a good spot, right, then it's like okay, like what would I rather? But I guess the good news is then if I hadn't done that, I would have kept him, right? Or I would be then at risk of I wouldn't have that second pick, and then I guess yeah, in terms of like value, sure, it might be more with this, right? Because then I wouldn't have traded for neighbors, or no, I already had made the trade for neighbors. I can't
Hmm.
remember the order of
Anyhow,
the trades. Anyways, is AJ Brown going to have a better year than whatever player I pick at 2 or 3? Depends. If
yeah,
he goes to New England, right? Like it's certainly possible.
I would like my odds if that was to happen. Um, that's it for the news section here, everybody. I mean, I have the ticker up, and looks like the Rams have re-signed Tyler Higbee, which is a minor deal. The Raiders are cutting Geno Smith, so he is going to be a free agent to go find a place to play, which I think he will. So let's just get into the next part of the show, and I'm not sure if you had a chance to watch any of the combine, or if you do watch the combine inward, or if there was any highlights or news stories that popped out of it that you wanted to quickly touch on before we get into the mock.
I was uh I was on vacation, so I didn't really watch like anything.
Yeah,
I saw some weird interview that like Makai Lemon gave, some like weird thing. He was
I
just
love that. That's the thing
totally
that everyone
totally
jumps
turned
to.
me off. Totally turned me off of him.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm going to be drafting this guy this year,
yeah,
man. It seems like one of those, I don't know, one of those guys who doesn't have his head on straight, even though he's clearly like a decent player.
yeah,
Do you want to risk, a high pick to potentially keep a player like that?
yeah.
Ooh, I don't know.
Did so I talked about this with Bobby Briscoe on our last podcast, and I like the interview. It just stands out so clearly to everybody who ends up watching. It's like, what is he doing? Like, maybe you're trying to exude confidence, but you're just coming across kind of creepy. And then
Yeah.
and then there's a clip that I came across my feed, and like the coach at the combine, he's explaining to the wide receivers, okay, you're going to run 50%, you're going to run this route, and just catch it and go upfield. I think it was a quarterback drill, and he's not even in the huddle while the coach is describing this to the group of receivers. He's like off to the side, just like vibing by himself. And then his rep comes up, and he doesn't run 50%. He runs like 10% and gets overthrown by like 30 yards because the quarterback's like, you're not in the spot and you're throwing off my timing. So it just was like another goof up by him when, again, maybe he,
I'm out on the Kyle Allen. I'm out.
again, like you do want your receivers to kind of be cocky, I guess, but I think
You do want a little bit of a diva. You want them to be a bit of a diva,
he
but
misplayed
like
his hand.
this is not diva. This is like an idiot. This
Yeah,
is a guy who doesn't have his head on straight.
I tend to agree with you. But hey, if he falls a couple rounds and it's good value, sure, why not? Anything else from the combine? Because there was obviously a lot of stories coming out about how this is the fastest receiver group, fastest running back group, fastest O line group. Like, there's a lot
I
of
saw there was some like discrepancy with Carnell Tate's electric timing and the hand timing stuff.
yeah,
Like Schefter put out some big tweet responding to someone about like all the
yeah,
texts he got,
a little bit of
which is
beef.
like funny that, you know, I mean, you're being electronically timed, right? I feel like maybe that's accurate, right?
Yeah,
But
and
so I don't know why everyone's like, oh no, I hand timed him, right? Like, wouldn't it make sense for the electronic timer to be more accurate than your, stopwatch? I don't know.
yeah, I mean, probably your eye to thumb reaction is probably not as accurate as a laser. What I did hear was this was a story that came out at kind of the Scheffler hearing from those scouts and coaches that they had a faster time is one thing. I heard that a story came out that he was, because the timer starts when you take your hand off the ground, your plant hand. So if he was taking his plant hand off early before he was even getting into his first stride, maybe you could lose a tenth of a second there. When I watched him, I thought he was flying out there. I thought he was running hella fast. So maybe that's something that could be part of the uh, nuance there. But yeah, I honestly, it doesn't change my perspective on him. He's still my wide receiver one in this rookie class. I don't know about you.
I haven't done like I know who these players are, and like I've seen some snippets on like Twitter and whatnot. Um, I haven't done a extensive like session on their like film, and I won't do that.
Yeah,
Right. I'm just gonna see where they land and aggregate what people's thoughts are about them and make my choice from there.
yeah, and I think the big around along those lines, the Jeremiah Love hype has just taken off after he ran a 4.36, I think it was. And everyone knew he was going to be a first round pick. Everyone knew he was probably going to be the 101 in dynasty drafts. But now, like, where's the ceiling for this guy to get drafted in the NFL? Like, I think it starts with the Cardinals at 3. like I think the Jets aren't going to take him. The Raiders aren't going to take him. The Cardinals, I think, are like literally at 3 could be the first place that he could be drafted to. With
You think they're gonna? You think he
I
could go third overall to a team that just cut their quarterback? Like they're gonna be starting a nobody,
they
but they're
signed
gonna draft a running back, yeah, over like a lineman or something.
Cardinals signed Malik Willis and talked themselves
Oh
into
yeah, Malik Willis. That's right. Yeah.
talked themselves into the possibility that their offensive line's okay. You know, they've been focusing on the run game. James Conner has been fantasy viable for many years now, and he's probably going to get released after that gruesome injury last year. So I think I'm just saying it's possible. I don't think it's going to happen. I think the Cardinals should know with a new regime and everything that they have more holes on their roster than just filling in a running back. Um, but I think that like he could be drafted at 3, like in a draft like this where there's really no consensus, blue chips, and he might be the only one. I'm just saying it's possible.
Um, like man, that would be high. When's the last time a running back went that high? Like Saquon or
Oh,
something?
yeah, I
Was
think
he went
Saquon
that
went
high? He
like
went
2, I
two.
think.
He went
Yeah,
two. Yeah.
yeah,
Um. Yeah. I mean, I've got picks 2 and 3 in our draft, and I know I'm going to get at least one really good player, right?
yeah.
Maybe one of them is him. Even though I always find it so challenging to like draft rookie running backs, and I went out of my comfort zone this past year, drafted Trevion, and he was so bad for the majority
So
of the
long.
year. And
Yeah.
then when I was out of it, he's like, "Okay, great, I'm fucking awesome
I'm
now."
gonna
And
have
he
the
started
best month of fantasy football that a rookie running
yeah,
back's
and it
had.
was like pointless for me. Um, so whether that's him or like Kansas City at 9 would be an awesome spot for a
Yeah,
receiver. Um, if one of those guys, Tate, I'd be backing on Lemon if he goes there, right?
sure.
Uh,
I guess the
yeah.
reason I bring all that up is because like in a dynasty startup, which you and I have in about 2 months' time, I've been messing around with some mocks. I'm not doing some heavy like mock drafting as of yet, but I always pictured him as like a mid second round pick in a dynasty startup. Like,
Jeremiah Love?
yeah, like
No, he's definitely a first round
well,
pick.
that's what I'm saying. Like now, how high do you take him in a dynasty startup? Like, is he going to be up there with some of these other guys? We have to wait to see what his landing spot is, but he could be up there with. I think he falls in right behind your Bijans and Gibbs, right? Like, who's
Yeah,
running
those
back
guys
3?
would go above him for sure, right? Because they've proven to be great in the NFL, and we know what their teams look like.
Mm-hmm.
He'd probably go above like a Saquon because of just how old Saquon is.
I agree.
He'd probably go in the same like range as like Jefferson and like Lamb, right? Probably have Jamar above those guys, and then probably in the mid first round you have them. You've got McBride, maybe you've got who's that other tight end?
Bowers.
Bowers, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So mid to back of the first round, right? Like 6 to 10, maybe.
Well, you know what? This is a great segue
It's fired up.
because let's get into our mock draft. All right, everyone, we're back, and we're going to fire up this first round mock as we speak. We'll be checking in intermittently so you guys can see what the outcome is as we go. But as your first time on the Last Call Fantasy Football podcast, Eric, I'm going to let you have the first pick overall, and just give me your thoughts and where your head leans when it comes to this first overall pick.
I am a big receiver guy over a running back guy.
Okay.
Is the peak of a Bijan or a Gibbs going to be higher than that of a Jamar? Maybe, right? But I feel like there's going to be a lot more like health certainty with the receivers, and they typically have like a longer career, like anyways, or a longer career of like peak performance. So it's just, to me, it's between like Jamar and Puka then.
Okay. Does the Joe Burrow wanting maybe out of Cincinnati after this season scare you off at all? And I mean, it's a similar issue with Puka with Matthew
Yeah,
Stafford.
with Stafford. I mean, I guess JSN could be in there too.
He could be in the mix.
let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's just go with Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase, 101.
Let's not be crazy here.
Yeah, so if I were you, I think that's a that's definitely where I would go Puka personally, but I do have no problem. I have no problem with Jamar Chase going here. I kind of have like a bucket of four of Jamar Chase, Puka, Bijan, and Gibbs. Um, at the number two selection here in a dynasty startup, there's going to be risk, I think, associated, and you did outline that with running backs. But I also think there's fewer premium running backs than there are premium receivers these days. It's almost like the market overcorrected, and now there's like a surplus of really good receivers. So I would look at this and I would say Bijan Robinson, the production's been absolutely insane for the first three seasons of his career, and he's only gotten better. There's a change in the regime there. I lean Jahmyr Gibbs for this mock because of the continuity of the staff. He's in the same class as Bijan, so I imagine he'll get extended. I think there's already been talk about him being the highest paid running back in this offseason. So he's working on a long-term deal with the Lions. They're not going anywhere. David Montgomery just got shipped out. I'll take Gibbs at the 102.
Gibbs is awesome. And I forgot Montgomery got traded. Had I remembered that, maybe I would have taken him at one. Yeah, Gibbs is great. I would, and I agree with your point. There's really like just two elite running backs in the like. There's like, the term elite, whatever you could, put many people into that bucket, no matter how you define it. But I think pretty clearly the two best running backs are Bijan and Gibbs, and there's probably a bit of a reasonable teardrop to the next group, which is whatever Jonathan Taylor, James Cook. So then it would be the next best receiver, the Puka or the JSN or Bijan. And if I'm team three here, thinking about, I can probably get still a good receiver in the second round. Am I going to get a good running back in the second round from here? Probably not, right? So I would probably put Bijan here at 3.
All right, Bijan 103. And I think I'm just going to quickly throw Puka up here at number 4, and we kind of talk about these four players. I don't think there's a wrong answer. I think any of these 4 players could go 101. I think if you're in a dynasty startup, you want to be in this section of your dynasty startup draft. I don't know what your policies are on getting up in there and trading up potentially in a dynasty startup, but like to get one of these 4 players as a cornerstone piece to be a part of your team for the next 5-6 years, I feel pretty confident with all of these guys. Regardless of health, regardless of situation, these are all premium players.
I just looked, and in the dynasty one that we're doing, I'm number 5. I have the 5th pick. So
well,
right behind this.
This should be very informative for me then. Let's see where your brain goes.
I don't know. I'm looking at it now, right? So there's JSN, then it's Lamb, CD, Jefferson. Let's go with JSN.
Okay. He's due for a big payday this offseason as well. So once you have that contract security, I don't know. They're like drafting at number 32. I don't see them bringing in any real competition for the guy. The guy was on pace to break 2,000 yards at one point this past season. Another player that you really can't go wrong with. So I don't mind.
How does it feel looking at players 4 and 5 here that you traded away in the same season?
I've already voiced my displeasure with past Paul's decisions. All right, I don't want to think about it. Okay, so team 6. I think I draft 7th in our league, but for team 6, this is a dynasty startup, so just talking through the quarterback situation. I know in dynasty startups there's a lot of conversation around the fact that you could go quarterback, especially if you know that they are going to be a guaranteed bona fide difference maker, and Josh Allen is certainly that. I took Josh Allen in the first round of my dynasty startup 5 years ago, which was great, and I think that he's 5 years older now. I guess there's not a change in the coaching staff that's as detrimental as some of these other changes across the league. But you bring in a Joe Brady who was already the play caller. I mean, Josh Allen has leaned heavily on the rushing touchdowns recently rather than passing touchdowns to get him to that QB1 status. I will say all that and take Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I think is still one of the highest floors and still has those ceiling weeks that give you like week winning weeks. So I'll take Amon-Ra St. Brown, a PPR machine who gets used in the red zone from the slot. I'm pretty happy with that at number 6.
Okay. He's a good player. I'm going to continue the wide receiver chain. I'm going to go CeeDee Lamb here at 7.
Okay. Now, you have had CeeDee Lamb since his rookie season in our keeper league, and how has that, like, since I think 2 seasons ago, he was by far and away the wide receiver one. Since then, bit of a decline, more competition with George Pickens these days. Does any of that change your mind, or are you still like feel really confident he's worthy of this first round selection?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't change my mind at all. I mean, I think if anytime you can be the overall wide receiver one or running back one or whatnot, I think you're permanently going to be in those like discussions as long as nothing material changes. Like, you get traded to like a team with a different philosophy. Um, right, they've added George Pickens, which I don't think I don't think it takes away a lot of what he can do. Like, sure, it might take away that overall wide receiver one potential that he has. Well, actually, but that being said, right, Chase has done that with T. Higgins, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I think he's a pretty safe bet for a like top 10 season for the next couple years, right?
Okay.
And I'm pretty comfortable taking that player at like the 7th overall pick.
Yep. I don't blame you. I think he was banged up for a lot of this past season. So if he can get his health right, I think he emerges as the clear-cut alpha, especially if you get a disgruntled George Pickens or hold out George Pickens this offseason because he doesn't want to play on a tag. So I count on a CeeDee Lamb bounce back this season. I have to imagine and hope for. At the 108, I think this is where Jeremiah Love comes off the board. Like, regardless of landing place, we've seen this with first round running backs. They produce in their first year and they likely break out to become a top 10 running back in their next 2 seasons after that. So I'll take
So why
Jeremiah.
not take Ashton Genty? He was a first round running back last year.
Yeah. I said on podcasts last year I was not as high on Genty as other people were. I think the soft conference he played in, the situation he got drafted to, the bad offensive line, all that played into my thought of that he might be a great player. And I think there's stats that do show that. Like there's the stat that if after that first if Bijan and Genty can get a yard of runway before being contacted, they're almost equal in terms of like yards after that. So uh, I think he is a good player, but the situation has to drastically improve if I was going to take Genty in this first round of this draft.
Okay.
But yeah, Jeremiah Love, I don't think he can land in a spot that makes him. He's got a different profile too, right? Like he's got more pass catching chops. He's taller, he's long legged, runs every single route in the route tree. I think he could be, draft team proof, if I'm being honest.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be nice if I mean if he falls to like the back end of the top 10, right, where the Chiefs are. Man, imagine the Chiefs take him or like Carnell Tate. Either one of those guys is then immediately worthy of the number 101. So
Yeah, rookie draft.
yeah.
I gotcha.
Okay, pick 9. I got to go with Justin Jefferson, man. Even though he had a bit of a down year last year, he's still
Interesting.
like so good. And I
Interesting.
think Team 9 would be happy to pick him at the 9th pick.
Okay, I'm gonna throw the board up here. We can just kind of quickly talk through this. So to quickly run it down for those that are just listening, Jamar Chase at 101, Jahmyr Gibbs at 2, Bijan Robinson at 3, Puka Nakua at 4. That's a pretty sweet tier of players right there. I think that's the cream of the crop. Then you get into the next tier of players, which I tend to agree with here. You get your JSNs, you get your Amon-Ra St. Browns, CeeDee Lamb, Jeremiah Love, and then Justin Jefferson. I have a bone to pick with you about Justin Jefferson, but this is what we want to do. This is why we do the mocks. I'm okay. Let me organize my thoughts here. So, quarterback is certainly going to be a question mark for Justin Jefferson. We've already seen, unfortunately, these really good receivers, they can end up in a bad quarterback situation. You think about Larry Fitzgerald through those like terrible years in Arizona, and I guess I would feel more comfortable with Justin Jefferson in this spot if I knew who the quarterback was going to be, and I knew it wasn't Kyler Murray going to Minnesota this next season.
Yeah, he put up over 1,000 yards, 21st overall in PPR with JJ McCarthy as quarterback. Right? How much worse is Kyler going to be for him than JJ McCarthy? I don't think it's going to be worse for him at all. I think he'll be better. Is he going to be as good as the year he had with Darnold? He was the second overall receiver,
Yep,
right? Like,
fair enough.
and his first 3 years, 6, 4, and 1, right? So this is like an elite player. I think even with Kyler, feeding him at a league average rate, Justin will get back to his like top 10 ways, and he's still young too. He's 26, even though he's already had like 6,000-yard productive seasons in the NFL.
Right.
Those guys don't grow on trees, and yeah, there's a bit of uncertainty right now. But I think if you're picking in the back half of one of these drafts, you're not really getting those surefire things, the surefire players like the top 4 are, right? You kind of have to take a little bit of risk or accept that uncertainty. And there's still a lot of upside here at 9th overall with Jefferson that maybe not every other player would offer.
And to your point, it is Dynasty. This is more than just one season. You have to hope that things get back on track at some point in the next season or so for such an elite player at his position. I think this.
Yeah. Ticking clock here.
Okay.
You hear that?
No, did it come up? Oh, sorry. You mean in the draft, maybe?
Is that what it is?
I don't know. Okay, let's focus. Okay, so at number 10, I think this is a spot that could be worthy of your Josh Allens, your Trey McBrides. You start looking at the elite onesie positions. I think with all that said, though, I will go. Oh, man. I think, yeah, it's hard to turn away Josh Allen at this point. For the next 5 seasons, I'll have the QB1, I'm hoping. And I'm drafting in the next 4 picks after this, so I'll feel pretty good about who might slide to me in the second round.
Okay. There's 2 guys who I am looking at here, both very young, both had an injury this past year. Malik Neighbors and Omarion Hampton. I think if healthy, Neighbors would have been like the first or second pick here. And I thought Hampton played like really well last year. And now adding Mike McDaniel as his offensive coordinator, I think is going to be very good for his career. Let's put Hampton there at the 111.
I really like it. Where did he go? There he is. Yeah, so in the last mock I did just solo, I had him up around the CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown range, and I think he's as talented as can be, and I do believe that like a Mike McDaniel offense is going to help him dramatically. You just got to hope that they shore up the interior of the offensive line some way, somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I get the honors of rounding this thing out, and guys that are in play, I would say Malik Neighbors. You could look at a Drake May if you're at the turn here. Drake London, Ashton Genty. You could get really young if you wanted to and look at some of the rookies coming in, like the Carnell Tates, Mackay Lemons. I think they are a lesser prospect than some of the other guys, though. I do like the idea of Malik Neighbors. His ACL injury was early enough that I do hope he's ready. Although I've heard some rumblings that it could be a slower recovery than
He had a
people were.
meniscus tear as well, and like so he was like late to start walking without crutches, which some of the
Okay.
Twitter injury experts were concerned
Hmm.
about. But he's
Okay.
so young. He's 22. I mean, I'm still keeping him in our other league. Like
Yeah.
he's 22.
You know who I like?
He's
Sorry to
Go ahead.
interrupt. Yeah,
No, no, go ahead.
the player I like taking here at the back end is if I'm at the number 12 spot, I could take James Cook, and he led the league in rushing last year. I'm actually shocked by his current ranking, being down here as the 25th ranked player. You look at his player card, and he was running back
6.
6. Led the league in rushing, 12 rushing touchdowns with another 2 receiving touchdowns on top. I don't think he gets enough love, and I don't know why. I think people maybe get scared of like the Josh Allen sniping him at the goal line kind of stuff, but he finds his way into the end zone in a very good offense with a very good uh, run game to go along with it. So I'm going to throw this back up for people to get a look at, and we'll run through it one more time real quick. Jamar Chase, number 1, Jameer Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Puka Nakua, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, kind of in that 5, 6, 7 slot. I went Jeremiah Love at the 8, which might be rich, but as I've said, I think the hype train is going to get him up into this range. Justin Jefferson at the 109. Josh Allen is the only onesie position taken in this mock at the 110. Omarion Hampton at 11, and James Cook to round out the top 12. So, any takeaways? Anything that stands out to you, Eric, as we wrap up the show?
Um, no, I mean, like, I guess this is, relatively to be expected here, right? Maybe Omarion Hampton was a bit of a reach. I don't really think so. Cook, is worthy of that first round startup spot. Guy I traded for and then traded away like the next week for neighbors. We'll see if that haunts me over the next few seasons.
Sure.
Um, but it's a guy I wanted for a long time. Yeah, looking forward to seeing where Jeremiah Love lands in the draft, and those receivers that you mentioned later on here, like Lemon and Tate. I've got number 2 and 3, so I got a very great chance to get a excellent young building block for the squad.
Absolutely. I think the thing that stands out to me is just between you and me doing this draft, it seems like we're pretty balanced in terms of our valuation on running backs and receivers. You get your Josh Allen in a dynasty startup, he might fall into that first round. Other than that, like there's not many quarterbacks I'd be looking at in the first round. No tight ends. I've been very high on Brock Bowers having a bounce back season, so he might sneak in here for me if I was to do this again. But
I thought about McBride. I thought about McBride too,
mhm,
um, but I feel like you can get like you'd be able to get him in the second round in most cases, and if
mhm,
you miss on him, there's Bowers, and if you miss on both of them, right, then there's just like the next tier down is the young guys from last year.
right.
Then maybe a Kraft later on or whatnot. So it's not a death knell not getting that elite tight end early on.
Right.
Be nice to have, but it's not the end of the world. Where I feel like it's more important to get a building block receiver or running back.
I tend to agree. It's a nice to have to your point. If you want a cornerstone piece for your team, you probably don't look at the tight end position, even with a Trey McBride or a Brock Bowers, like we would look at a Travis Kelsey in years past, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. That was a lot of fun, man. Yeah, that's going to do it for us, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend. And Eric, thank you again for jumping on and taking some time on your Friday. It was a lot of
No problem.
fun. Good to hear the vacation was a good time. And we'll make sure to have you back next week, hopefully, if it works out. Otherwise, we'll get you back on at some point. Yeah, thanks again for jumping on, man.
Thanks for having me, buddy. Always great to chat. Always. I think last year or 2 years ago, our podcast was my like initiation to getting my feet wet for the season. And with our dynasty thing coming up now in like 2 months, I'm gonna have to start really paying attention. I probably won't really start till after the draft because landing spots
No.
are going to matter so
Yeah.
much. But yeah, always great to chat. Lots of fun, and looking forward to the next one, buddy.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a couple pods that might be able to help you out in terms of getting caught up with all that stuff. So this one included. All
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
All right, brother. Enjoy your Friday. Everyone enjoy your weekends, and we'll see you next week. Peace.